Right, so just quickly going through the different trellis systems we show on the cellar tour as well, and what you can find in the world. The first one we're going to focus on is the one we use the most at Babylonstoren. It's called the VSP. So what it is you've got 7 wires. So at the bottom you've got a wire where the cordon, so this is your stem coming out of the ground, and it splits into one to the right, one to the left, and that's called your cordon. So what happens is on the cordon you want 5 shoots, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shoots, and out of this shoots, or out of the canes, the shoots will grow and this will bear fruit. So obviously it takes 3 to 4 years to get your first fruit, and this will grow then between 2 wires. You see this side is 2 wires up here and here. So if I shake this, you can see if the wind is blowing, the shoots won't damage and it won't break off. So a massive advantage. Also, like I mentioned now, with the sunlight, in the afternoon the sun will come from this side, in the morning from the other side. But then you can also plant your rows that the sun is from the top, and it sort of protects your leaves. So what we'll do with the red wines, we'll break the leaves out in this side, especially before picking time, so we can actually get some sunlight in there, to ripen, and also to ripen the tannin, and also to form more color. Because if you look at the berry, inside it's got clear color, but all your color is sitting in the skin. So you want to keep this, especially for red wine, you want to keep the juice or the must in contact with your skin so you can get as much color. All right, so the next system is the one you'll see a lot in the Rhone Valley if you go to France. The reason for this is called the stokpijpaaltjie in Afrikaans, but also in France they call it sur échelle. So what happens is every vine gets a pole. So it's a very expensive way of trellising, but you can do high density with this. So what we mean by high density is you can plant the vineyard much closer together. So something like a Shiraz, like in the Rhone Valley, Shiraz is a very strong grower. So you can plant it much closer to each other, so you have better growth and sort of competition for the plant. That's better for the wine in the long run. So all your bunches will sit here at the bottom, sort of protecting from the wind, but also from the sun. And the main reason for this trellis system is actually just all your shoots you can bind to this pole. And if you plant at a very steep slope, or where there's a lot of wind, you can use this. So our Pinot Noir planted up 620 meters high at Babylonstoren is planted like this. So the bunches are normally very small, and because it's high density, so very small but also very concentrated. So very good system for a lot of wind, but also very steep slopes. All right, the next trellis system is it's called the Leer. So this is used a lot where you sort of you've got a bit of a restriction on the land. So for me, maybe to explain is, maybe you've got a river running on the one side, and you can't really do a lot of rows like east-west or north-south, or you want a sort of row direction, but you're forced to do one row direction. So what people do is obviously to increase volume as well, but also mostly for sunlight, the right sunlight exposure. With the Leer, you'll split the canopy, so you have your stem coming up, and then you'll split your cordon to the one side and to the other side. So you sort of form this V. So obviously the big advantage with this is you've got more production. So you can have almost 2 sides, more crop. But the negative thing for me with this is it's difficult to spray. So if you want to do sort of pest control, it's very difficult to come inside. And also for picking, for labor, it's a bit difficult. But the advantage of this is if you don't have the option to plant the east-west or north-south, you'll still have sunlight coming in from the top. So yes, you'll have a bit of sunlight from the left and the right, but also from the top you can open it up to get sunlight in. So obviously big advantage, more crop, but yeah, it's quite an intensive, very, very labor intensive practice. Yeah, so this is my take on the Leer. All right. The next one is the T-frame. So this you'll see a lot in table grape production. So big advantage for this is obviously the canopy, the shade it gives to the grapes. So you can imagine if you go and you want to buy table grapes in the shop, to eat, you don't want sunburn, or you don't want any sunburn marks on the grapes. So that's very important to keep it in the shade the whole time. So maybe if you could just go a little bit lower down, you'll see from the bottom how all the grapes are hanging in the shade. So what happens is the shoot will come up, and the stem will come up to the top. It will split into a T shape, and then all your grapes will hang at the bottom. So you'll have all your grapes. You can actually feel these grapes are actually still cool from this morning, and out of the shade, out of the sun. Sorry, out of the sun. So it's perfect for table grape production. Not really found in wine production, because obviously in wine production you want that sunlight to sort of get the grapes ripe, and also to sort of form that tannins and then flavor in the grapes. So that's important. Why we don't do this really with wine production. Right. All right. So the next one is called the ballerina, and the reason why we call it the ballerina is when you look in this angle, it almost looks. Well, let me start like this. It's exactly the same as the VSP, the first one we saw. But with this one, in the bunch zone, we leave some of the shoots open, so it almost looks like a ballerina dress. So what happens is, the reason why you want to do that is mostly for sunburn, to protect the leaves. So what we do is we'll leave some of the shoots open on the sides, where in the bunch zones you'll have a lot of shade, and you won't form any sunburn on your bunches. Obviously, so the negative for this is obviously you'll have, it will hang a lot longer. So especially if you're in a hurry to sort of pick, it will take much longer to ripen, and that's why at the VSP we'll actually break it open to get the sunlight in there. So with the ballerina, definitely where there's a lot of sunlight, people still use this. Yeah, that's good. Okay, and then the next one is called the Smart Dyson. So also used to sort of up your crop a little bit on per hectare. So you want to get a bit more tonnage per hectare. So especially guys, delivering sometimes to co-ops, and where it's more about volume than quality. Sometimes they'll use the Smart Dyson. What happens here is you have almost a similar setup than the VSP, but what you'll see here is you've got your shoots going upwards, bearing fruit, but then also they use this, every second one they'll bend down to the bottom, that will also bear fruit. So in your canopy you'll have shoots going up and down, and obviously bearing more fruit, so you can up your production. This sometimes can be a bit of a problem, especially with if you've got animals sitting too low, they'll probably eat the grapes as well. But it can also be a labor intensive practice, because you literally need to go on your knees to sort of pick the bottom grapes, where when it's higher up, you can work in this canopy here to pick the grapes. So obviously a bit more labor intensive, but definitely the advantage of this is to get more crop per hectare. So definitely it's got some credit, this trellising system. So Smart Dyson, really good trellis system as well. All right. Okay, so taking you to the last one is, this one is called the Santorini. It's one of my favorites, just because it's so pretty. But it's really hard work. It's very labor intensive. So what we do is we'll plant the vine, and as soon as the shoots grow, we'll form it into a basket. And the reason for this is obviously, number one, like in Santorini, in Greece, there's a lot of wind that damage the vine and also the grapes. So you want to sort of protect it, in an open, vast space. You want to sort of protect the grapes that's inside. But then also it's very dry and very arid in Santorini. So what happens with this is it's almost like a natural irrigation. So in Santorini, they've got, a lot of cool evenings and warm days. So in the cool evenings, as soon as it gets warm during the day, it sort of precipitates. And then all that water sort of falls on top of this. You've got the mist coming from the sea, goes and lies on this. And then as soon as it obviously warms up, it goes down to the root system. So it's almost like a natural way of irrigating the plant without obviously having irrigation. So you'll see inside here, it's sort of woven inside like a basket. And then you'll have your bunches sitting inside, protecting it totally from the wind from outside. So obviously for this, it can be a problem for pesticides inside, because you sort of form a bit of a humidity inside. And that's why this is mostly used in drier areas, not in wet, humid areas, because this will be a problem. But yeah, just look how beautiful, this basket inside looks totally like a basket. And then with the grapes hanging inside, perfectly healthy. So really looking good. We planted a bit of Chenin Blanc like this, and it's really one of my favorites every year to pick as well. So yeah, thank you for joining us, and I hope you learned something about the trellis systems of the world. Obviously there's many more, but we try to show people just a glimpse of what you can find in the world. So thank you very much.